Today I'm just going to quickly talk about the art of being unbothered. I think everyone needs a lesson in this or a refresher at some point, because it's very easy to get distracted, get irritated, get annoyed with all the things that we are expected to do or the things that we put on ourselves to do on a day-to-day basis. A lot of us put unnecessary pressures on ourselves to accomplish certain things in a certain amount of time or to garner certain things. A lot of it, I think, has to do with the influence of social media, which is more prevalent now than ever. But I think it's really important to just reset. For me, I took a hiatus from social media. I was so tired of being fed other people's lives and other people's perceptions of what happiness looks like. And I felt like when I got rid of it all, it was like this weight had been lifted. I was so much lighter. I was free. I wasn't influenced by what other people showed me. And it was refreshing. It was an opportunity for me to really just come up with what made me happy. I think a lot of people lose sight of that because we're so immersed in what other people have going on. People are only showing you what they want you to see. They're not including the really tough times, the really bad times. I think some people now are a little bit more because they're trying to normalize normalcy, which I think is really important, especially in this day and age. We live in a culture where validation is prioritized. The idea of craving validation from people you don't know, I can understand how that dopamine effect is intriguing and how it makes you feel excited and it makes you feel special and important. But I strongly encourage anyone who finds themselves struggling with that validation aspect to look internally to try to understand what do you do that validates yourself? Is it your friends and your family and the way that they receive you and that you treat them? Is it your personal journey and your personal growth and development and making sure that each day you're working harder to become the best version of yourself? Find that from other facets of life as opposed to the likes. I heard a quote, I don't even remember who said this, but my husband and I say it all the time. Comparison is the thief of joy. There is no greater way to make yourself feel worse than comparing yourself to what someone else has going on. Honestly, I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves where we implement strict deadlines or timelines for things to be accomplished, and then we feel disappointed in ourselves, or we feel like we let ourselves down or we didn't live up to some standard when we don't necessarily accomplish things. But I promise you that hard work goes a long way. I know people say it all the time. Consistency is key, and just really kind of developing your craft, whatever that may be, putting the effort and work into yourself. Because at the end of the day, even if it doesn't go exactly the way you want to from either a financial compensation standpoint or from a professional standpoint, maybe you don't end up doing that for a living, maybe it doesn't sustain your livelihood. But if you're always working on yourself, you are always going to get something more valuable out of that, because that is something that you keep with you for your life. I think the most important word to remember when you're thinking about all of this is grace. Just extending grace and having grace for yourself. I think we spend a lot of time giving other people grace when we allow them into our headspace and we allow them to kind of make us think about things that maybe weren't on our mind in a negative way. The same grace that you're extending to these other individuals who are imposing their opinions and beliefs on you should also be extended to yourself. You should give yourself some grace, give yourself some latitude, some flexibility. I am all for responsibility. I am a true Capricorn, but I also understand the delicate balance of putting too much pressure on yourself and doing things that are very realistic. So you need to just find that balance, become comfortable with who you are and embrace it and accept it, because you are special, you matter, you're important. I think you just have to be your own biggest fan, and that's not in a conceited kind of show off way, but it's just remembering that everyone's purpose in life is different. We are all here for a different reason, and I think it's just finding the joy in the journey. A lot of us are so focused on that end destination that we forget to stop and look out the window and be I've actually done a lot. I've actually come a long way. I think there's so much joy that we miss along the journey, because once we get to that milestone that we were looking for, we're striving for more. Constant need to feed and fuel that ambition overshadows all the work that you've done to get to this point. So for me, I think reflection, particularly self-reflection, and taking a moment to really just look at yourself as an individual and see how much you've grown and to appreciate that, is so incredibly important and valuable. I think it's really personal to me because you guys have seen me on here. This is 10 years now that I've been doing, not actively doing YouTube, but I started my channel 10 years ago. And for me, I still feel like a very small creator, but I think for me, the reason why I do these videos is very different. It's not for financial compensation, because I have a career that I actually enjoy. I have my family and I have other things that I'm passionate about. But the reason I do these videos is because I really enjoy like learning about cameras, learning about editing. But I also think that for me, when there is a message that I think is going to be helpful for other people and that might resonate with folks, or they might feel like they just need a little bit of inspiration or encouragement or a reminder that they're on the right track, I felt like I felt obligated to say something. And again, this message is for those of you who are out there doing the best you can. Keep your head up, keep grinding, keep doing it.